We treat self-improvement like a battlefield. We grit our teeth, dig in our heels, and try to force immediate changes through sheer willpower. We draw up nascent, punishing workout routines in January, or delete every distraction off our phones on a Sunday night, setting an impossibly high standard. When the inevitable slip happens by Tuesday, we crash straight into a heavy cycle of guilt and shame. But the harder we try to crush these behaviors, the louder they seem to scream. The very act of declaring war on a destructive habit is exactly what locks our focus on it, feeding it the energy it needs to survive. True sustainable change doesn't happen by beating yourself into submission. Instead, the Japanese approach uses a system that coordinates with your brain's biological mechanics rather than declaring war on them. This framework starts by acknowledging that no habit is an enemy. Every pattern, whether it's reaching for a cigarette or eating out of boredom, originally began as a functional solution to manage emotional distress. Instead of fighting the urge when it arises, you simply observe the craving exactly like a dark cloud passing overhead, noting its presence objectively, without any judgment or attempt to suppress it. You get curious about the mechanics of the feeling. You locate exactly where that urge lives physically inside your body. Maybe it's a sudden tightness in your jaw, or a heavy heat radiating from your chest. When the urge hits, you sit with the discomfort fully, setting a timer for 10 minutes. You don't try to distract yourself. You just experience the physical sensation of wanting the thing, allowing the wave to wash over. This chart illustrates how a craving behaves. What feels like an endless emergency is brief. Intensity spikes sharply, reaching maximum strength around the 3-minute mark. Once you crest that peak, urgency subsides. By 10 minutes, the physical pressure has almost entirely faded. Cravings are not permanent, immovable parts of who you are. They are brief, external events moving through your awareness, and they do not require any immediate action from you. This physiological reality explains why trying to quit a habit cold turkey always ends in relapse. Wiping out a deeply ingrained behavior overnight triggers a severe threat response. Your nervous system interprets the sudden shift as immediate danger. The internal alarm floods your body with massive resistance, practically forcing you back to familiar comforts to turn the sirens off. To bypass this biological trap, the Japanese use the concept of Kaizen, a deliberate, continuous improvement of exactly 1% at a time. If you struggle with chronic online shopping, you don't cut up your credit cards. You simply institute a micro-change, like waiting exactly 24 hours before hitting the checkout button. These microscopic delays slip entirely under the brain's radar. Because the change is so small, it fails to trigger the nervous system's threat detection network, completely bypassing that wave of anxiety. The brain pathways that support your habits took years to build. They cannot be violently demolished overnight. They must be patiently rewired through small, consistent actions over time. Even if you quiet a craving, eliminating a behavior leaves an emotional vacuum in your day, and human psychology dictates that an empty space will always demand to be filled. A stiff drink at 6 o'clock or an hour of mindless doom scrolling serve as necessary transition rituals. They act as mechanical methods for bridging the gap between work stress and personal time, or for managing deep loneliness and boredom. This is where Ikigai, or your reason for being, comes into play. It provides a framework to look past the destructive behavior itself and identify the genuine, raw psychological need you are actually trying to satisfy. Once you know what that underlying need is, you construct a new, positive transition ritual. If the goal was to decompress, you swap the drink for changing into comfortable clothes, brewing a cup of tea, and spending 10 minutes sketching. True habit cessation requires addressing your internal needs directly. You heal the root cause with genuine self-compassion, rather than continuously punishing the symptom. Breaking a habit is ultimately a misnomer. You aren't actually breaking or destroying anything. You are solely focused on building something new. Think of your deeply ingrained routines like a well-worn trail in a forest. You've walked this exact route so many times, making it the clear, wide-open path of least resistance for your brain to follow. Stepping off that easy trail is difficult. Pushing through the thick brush and carefully navigating unfamiliar ground requires intense conscious effort and attention. But the biological reality of neuroplasticity means that every single time you walk the new route, the grass gets trampled down. Consistent repetition clears the new path, while the old, unused trail quietly fills with weeds and grows over. Lasting transformation isn't found in a war against yourself. By letting go of the exhausting battle and patiently outgrowing your old patterns, you achieve a change that moves in harmony